Good morning. My name is Stan Burkholder, the lay leader at Blue Sky Christian Fellowship, and I'm here in our home with Todd De Haan, the consultant that the Northwest Mennonite Conference is looking at for hiring over the next 2 years to help build a healthy base for each church to build a healthier conference. Welcome here, Todd.
Thank you. Thank you.
Todd came to Blue Sky after our last full-time, part-time pastor retired. We wanted to do an outside evaluation of who we were and are before putting together what kind of a pastor we were going to be looking at. So Todd came to a tired and aging congregation with a mix of young and old, and helped us to discover that we did not want to close, although he was given the freedom to ask that question. He helped us determine that our church was valuable to us and the community, and through meeting each one and asking the tough questions, he saw that we had the energy to continue on and move forward. So I, on behalf of the Blue Sky congregation, wanted to thank Todd for the hard work, the questions that he was able to ask as an outsider, so that we could move forward. It is dangerous to assume the big or little pictures without the details, and we were a bit surprised at what we did learn by giving Todd the authority and the responsibility to help us. So Todd, what was your reaction to coming to Blue Sky?
Well, it's been, first of all, it was really good to visit the people, get to know the people. I like asking lots of questions, and the people were really friendly that way. They were very helpful in answering the questions, giving me their viewpoints, and I want them to be heard and wanted them to be valued, and so it was a great opportunity. Were an aging group, although there was some young couples in that group, and just wanted to see where their passion and where their heart was. Working through that group, got to know them in the short period of time that we were there, got to know them, and wanted to give them some good direction as a consultant as to where they should go or what they should do, what they should look at, what they should look forward to. So yeah, it was a good time doing that.
I want to add that I didn't know if it was a consultant filling the podium, but we really did witness the pastor / consultant dual skill set, because Todd led us through some very solid preaching services as well, and it was good to see his dual skill in leading us through that. I understand you also went to Smith.
Yes, yeah. So the first time that I got introduced to the conference was through the Smith Church. There I was served as transitional pastor for a year, where I took the roles on of preaching, filling the pulpit, visiting, as well. Very important to me, again, to assess, get to know the congregation. So spent some time in the beginning months asking lots of questions, having people fill out the assessments, so I knew what might be the issues there. And it helps me then be able to assess, peel back the onion to get to the root of the issues that might need to be addressed. Throughout that year then, worked on addressing some of those issues that were critical, important, laid out a plan, addressed those issues, preached topical, dealing with some of those issues as well. Then with that congregation, worked very much in setting up, helping them understand their why. What is their purpose? What's their vision? What's their mission? So each church body, we have a purpose, we have a mission, but each church body, the practice of that is going to be different. It's going to look different, and help this body find out what that would be. What is their why? And from there then, they got their why and their vision, their purpose, the mission, and from that then we started the search committee and laying out the type of pastor that they were looking for to fulfill that, to walk with them, to empower them, to engage them through that. So also had involvement with the search committee in that purpose and working through that. Did some board development or council development. Also had some crucial conversations. As a transitional pastor, transitional consultant, you sometimes are able to have the conversations that nobody else wants to have because you're only there for a short period of time. And you can take the arrows, you can wear the bullseye, so to speak, and try to help the church body get healthy so that they're ready for the new pastor.
As a businessman, some of my conversations with you, we touch base on that side. But there's a cycle that businesses go through. When things are going good, it's sometimes easy to get lazy. It's sometimes easy to take things for granted. And as experienced, little things can fall through the cracks, and all of a sudden, what was good becomes like hard work. I've learned to balance the big picture of business with the small picture. Too much concentration on one or the other is not healthy. I believe it's the same way in large churches, and I know you've consulted with some large churches before, and can you tell us how that's the same and or different from large church settings, even if it looks like it's going good?
So I did have had the opportunity of serving a larger body of believers. The largest that I've served in was around that 300 mark attendance, several multi-staff on there as well. It's very similar to the small church, just a lot more people. So change happens, and oftentimes we get in a routine of thinking that everything's good, and we keep it the same because it's been going that way, and we as a church body don't change. And so big churches can get into that same as small church bodies. And this church body that I helped them with was with their multi-staff, so did a lot of staff development, did a lot of board development, as well as worked with the church body, helping them feel valued and also helping them feel heard, and taking them through that process. Oftentimes, you think everything's going good, but with change, whether that be the pastor resigning, whether there be no pastor, whether there be a change in the leadership of the body, that all brings up the dross, the stuff that's lying below the surface. And so in big churches, it's the same, it's just more of it as small bodies. And so you have those conversations. You want to find out what is the roots and deal with them. And so that church body, I was there for a year, did the same thing, walked through with them, had a lot of assessments, peeled back the onion is to get to the root, and then take them through that process. At the same time, work with the administration. So I did worked with the administration on day-to-day stuff and functioned in that role as well.
As a church body, we believe a lot in calling, and I believe personally a lot in God's timing. Our conference board has really feel the time is now for this calling. How would you speak to what is happening in your life, and does it somewhat feel like the time now and this calling for you?
So I've had the privilege of serving 6 different church bodies, several from the Northwest Mennonite Conference, several from Baptist, Evangelical Free, and Alliance. And one of the things I'm seeing is real hunger in church bodies to get healthy and to find out what their passion is, what their purpose is as a church body, to reach others for Christ as well as grow spiritually as well as in numbers. And so I'm seeing that, and it's been exciting to see a hunger in the big C, in the big church, but also see that in each little church body. It also, where my life is at, our kids are all left home. We now are in that grandparent stage. And so as we are looking at what do we do next for the Lord, the work that I have been doing in the marketplace is winding down, coming to an end, which allows me to also get into this more in a full-time basis and walk with church bodies to help them get healthy.
My experience with Todd is that with respecting the people, he doesn't shy away from the issues. Often when a church breaks down, it's the target of the enemy to break down relations and distort little things to become large things. Can you give us an example of targeting an issue in spite of the people denying it?
Yes, well, when people get excited for the Lord, it will take no time at all to see Satan work, and he works in many different ways. It's from discouragement to relationships, as Stanley was saying, interpersonal relationships, marriage relationships. And so every single church body that I've been in, as the Lord is working, as the Spirit is moving, Satan tries his attacks. And I've seen it from anywhere from dissatisfaction with the leadership to attacking a marriage, to attacking each other. And so as I work with them and as we navigate, we spend a great deal of time in prayer and also addressing those issues and talking about them, being aware of them, not giving credit and over credit to Satan, but Satan does not want to see the Lord's work flourish. He likes nothing better for our churches to become inward. And when that focus changes, Satan definitely steps up the game and attacks in many different ways.
From your experience, what percentage of churches have somewhat of a broken process? And how does that excite everybody then when they see the fruit of those processes being fixed? Does the energy change? Is there an excitement to reach out to the community for you? Because now I'm assuming they're looking outward rather than inward.
Yeah, so the energy definitely changes. Smith too was an aging church body, and yet it had a young group, young couples there, and the potential of reaching young couples in the community, and just seeing them get excited about that. So often as churches, whether we're big or whether we're small, we want to do what mega churches do. We want to offer everything that big churches do if we're small. And so sometimes we are program heavy, and we are burning out our people. And through my time with the church bodies and helping them find their why, we really focus in strategic goals to fit those whys. And that might only be a couple things, but doing a couple things and doing them well gets excitement, even from the aging group, because they say we can do that. And they pull behind it and they give the support. If they don't necessarily are physically able to do it, what I have been seeing is the prayer piece. They're great prayer warriors, and that is definitely needed. And then also encouraging the younger couples as they step up to press forward. And so
when Todd came to Blue Sky, he made it very clear that he was not trying to help us hire him as a full-time pastor. In fact, he's very specific about the deadlines involved with being a transitional pastor. Will you clear that up for us? What does transitional pastor mean as compared to regular pastor?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that I'm seeing is an interim pastor is holding the status quo. Transitional pastor or transitional coach is saying, we would like help in addressing whatever issues we may have in our church body that needs to be addressed. And so as a transitional pastor or as a transitional coach, it is only for a period of time. And I make that really clear with each body that I go into. And like Stanley says, I make it really clear as to what I will do and what I will not do. So often congregations get really concerned when they're without a pastor or when there's change happening, how to navigate through that. And so I walk through with them what that looks like. So as a transitional coach or as a transitional pastor, some church bodies I've served just for a short period of time. Blue Sky, I did the pastoring as far as preaching, the visiting, meeting people, talking with them. I served as a consultant in giving them some recommendations, giving them some thoughts. I did not have the privilege nor the opportunity to carry on after a few months to help them navigate the next process, and Stanley navigated that with the church body. With other church bodies, I have the opportunity to stay longer, and I'm able to take them through that process. So as a transitional pastor, you come in and you get to know the people. You are not there to make this about you. You are trying to help the body get healthy. And so you get to know the people. You get to know what those concerns might be. You get to know what the issues might be to the people. And then you start asking the hard questions as to what are the roots of those issues. And so a transitional pastor, transitional coach, often there's closure that needs to be done. Closure, if even a pastor stays, there might be closure with families leaving and how that's affected the body. And so I navigate them through that. Once we go through the closure process, then we start getting into relationship renewal, spiritual renewal. So some churches have gotten off base that way, and their focus is no longer about the Lord. It's about the programs that they offer. It's about what they do, not why they come. And so we start working in those areas. It might be structural, the structural piece, the renewal as to board development. It might be the polity. So often churches slip away from the polity of what is set out in their constitution, of what is set out in their bylaws. And so I walk with them that way, helping them understand what their polity is, what that looks like, how to work within that. And then also the vision renewal piece, whether that's recreating and helping the people recreate a new vision, or refurbishing and a renewal of the current vision, getting people excited about that and working with them. So transitional pastoring, coaching is for congregations of 10, 15, 20, up to 50 to 100, but it's also, and even more so important, for congregations that are bigger than that. Because the people are going to see Christ by who we are. And when you have a bigger body, I believe we have even more of an impact for Christ, and we need to take that serious. And so there's just lots of opportunities there of how we can do that. So just working as transitional pastor, working with closure, working with relationship renewal, spiritual renewal, working with administration, working with board development, which comes into structural, working with staff development, if it's multi-staff in the bigger churches, doing coaching. I've done coaching as well, pastoral coaching, where I have a group of pastors that phone me and I meet with them via Skype or FaceTime and spend time with them, walking through with that. And so there's lots of different avenues that transitional works on. It's helping the body get healthy.
In my work life, I often comment, if better is available, is good enough? Maybe your church is doing good. Maybe it could be doing better. Using this analogy, I'm going to ask Dave about your training and experience in the cross-cultural area. I hear you're excited about this opportunity.
Yeah, so we came up to Canada. I was a preteen, and we came up to Canada in '79. My folks were with Arctic Missions. It has now been turned to Interact. We were supposed to go to Alaska to work with First Nation people there, but the Arctic Missions wanted to start a work in Western Canada. And so my folks came up to Edmonton and started reaching the First Nation people in Edmonton and then the surrounding areas of Edmonton. With that experience and growing up in that experience as a teenager, all the way through high school, I get excited. I have in my undergraduate, bachelor level, I taken a mission minor, cultural minor, and so I look forward to and I'm excited about the opportunity to work with other races other than white, One of the churches that I served in as transitional pastor had an opportunity as well. It was down in Brooks, a very multicultural place with many different ethnic groups, and that church body has some of them attend, and it was exciting